And I'm going to talk today about the age of influencers and how that's actually impacted the businesses that I work with, which were historically retail and publishing. And bloggers, and particularly fashion bloggers, have completely reinvented the retail funnel. It works very differently from how it used to. And it's interesting because when they first became sort of popular and renowned, as it were, about 2005 to 2007, the perception within the industry was that they were actually a bunch of amateurs, possibly, fly-by-nights, here today, gone tomorrow, and also maybe just a little bit Fruit the Loop because they were quite obsessed with fashion. And this really didn't go down well within the industry as it stood then. So what's changed? What's actually happened in the last few years whereby these people are now hugely professional, they are really widely respected in the industry, there's been a complete paradigm shift. So what does that mean? How does that affect my industry and what comes next? So if we actually start off by looking at one influencer, Rebecca Minkoff, for example, runs a luxury bag business, and she used the digital influencer Rumi Neely as a model in her runway show. And at the time, this went down really badly because to date, only models have been used in runway shows. Rebecca actually said that people sort of went, "Ooh, a blogger in your show, how very C-list." So by that time, it was clear they were inviting bloggers to the shows, but they weren't actually really welcoming them in terms of influence in the industry, let alone actually driving the published content agenda or fashion trends. So if we fast forward then to 7 years, to 2017, Dolce & Gabbana were actually working then with Alexandra Pereira and Negin Miceli, which all have huge followers on Instagram. And they were doing this because these people can reach large numbers of a much younger audience than perhaps they have historically been able to do. So clearly there's been a transformation in the intervening period where the brands have realized that these influencers really do influence and they can help them introduce to new markets. So today, the use of influencers within the retail industry is really prevalent. 91% of luxury brands actually use influencers. In active wear, that's 84%, and in beauty brands, around 83%. Across industries, it's around 70% as an average. So let's see a couple more examples outside Europe. So here we are in China. One of China's top influencers called Tao Liang. He's actually known as Mr. Bags. He has more than 4.1 million followers on Weibo, which is the Chinese social media. Givenchy worked with Mr. Bags to actually create a pink Mini Horizon limited edition bag for Valentine's Day specifically, which may strike fear into the heart of anybody who has to do anything for Valentine's Day, because these bags there were about 80 of them. They were sold within 12 minutes. And netting $173,000. So that's an average of $2,000 per bag. So you thought it was difficult when you had to remember to buy a card. Now you've got to buy a bag. It's not just designer houses, though. Traditional retailers are following suit with these influencers. So Ariel Shahnaz has worked with Nordstrom, for example. She has 1.2 million Instagram followers. Her blog, Something Navy, actually launched a collection with Nordstrom, which caused their website to crash. It was so popular. So that was last September. It raked in £4 million worth of sales within 24 hours. So that just goes to show the power that the influencers and the content that they actually publish really have. And it's not just fashion, it's beauty also. Becca Cosmetics 2015, this Champagne Pop highlighter by Jaclyn Hill. She has about 5.9 million followers on YouTube. YouTube is particularly good for beauty because people can show you how to wear it, how to put it on, how to actually do the look that they're selling for. And this particular cosmetic broke the record on the Sephora website in 2015 and sold out in 20 minutes. Now, if I compare that against the industry I used to work with, Marks & Spencer, for example, had a very popular skincare product, which was about fake tan. We had a piece in the Mail first thing one morning. It was very, very popular, and it sold out within 4 hours, and we thought that was absolutely amazing. This was selling out really much faster than that. So then also to look at, for example, the shoe industry. So this is Chiara Ferragni, who is probably one of the most successful influencers to date. Her brand, The Blonde Salad, which is a blog, collaborated with Steve Madden, who's one of the big shoe designers in the States. And the result was that 16,000 pairs of shoes were sold in the first 2 weeks of the collection. And then finally, as an example, If we look at Revolve. Now, Revolve is a really interesting retailer because they're currently around 500 million in terms of turnover, and they have absolutely just worked with influencers to do their marketing. They have a network of about 2,500 influencers, and they probably spend about 55 million with those people every year. And what they do is just literally promote their products, publish the pictures, have a commentary on lifestyle. They actually went public about 2 weeks ago, and they're also going to be introducing a new range fairly shortly based on the insight they get from these influencers about the target groups that they're not addressing, which now is Gen Z. So they're introducing a new range at lower price points to target those people. So where does this go to? Well, basically, there are about 2.77 billion social media users around the world last year. So powerful marketing can be achieved by partnering with these influencers. And millennials and Gen Z are very prone to impulse purchases. So they're very influenced by social media, what they see on social media. And the key point here is that's where they start. They don't necessarily go to a retail website anymore when they think about buying a product, because the point at which they think about buying a product is when they see it on someone else. So it starts with the image, and that's a very different position from where we were a few years ago. So by uploading a picture, for example, a specific brand or a video talking about a certain product can have a massive marketing impact. And in fact, 34% of daily US Instagram users have purchased a product based on an influencer or a blog. So I think where we've gone to now is that about 59% of the consumers think that visual information is more important than textual information, because that's where they start. And that's really the shift I'm interested in, working with Site AI, which is a visual startup. So the start of their search can be to take a screenshot, it can be to store something in their camera roll, or it can be just to be browsing something on their mobile phone. And the key thing here is that this is where they start, is they start with the visual. Now, Site has put together an infrastructure which can capitalize on this. So what you're seeing here, and I'm sorry, this slide hasn't actually come out very well on the big display, but this is a visual of our marketplace. So what we've done is to pool all the information from the retailers we work with, all the information from the affiliate networks, into an index of products that we can then match against the images that consumers either have on their mobile phones or upload to retail websites. With Samsung specifically, we will be live on the operating system of Samsung that's native in the phone for nearly 1 billion smartphones by the end of this year, which means that any customer using a Samsung phone doesn't have to have an app. They don't have to upload the image to a retail website. Just by having it on their phone, it's instantly shoppable. And that's a really powerful marketing tool. Similarly, we're working with other networks as well. I mean, it won't be a surprise that as soon as this is live with one phone network, all the others want to do this too. But the key thing here is that Samsung Bixby Vision, the shopping assistant there, is the first native system which has actually been on devices. So having experienced the limitations of textual search, we have invented something using visual AI to create a visual marketplace and allow us to actually provide experiences to retailers that enable them to tap into this. So what you can find, for example, is that any retailer can now implement a very small piece of code from us, enabling customers to go into the search bar on a retail website, and instead of actually putting in text, they can just upload a picture. And instantly, that will then be matched against the retailer's repertoire, and they'll be able to just shop that look straight from the picture they've uploaded within the retailer's repertoire. Really easy to do it. We can power recommendation engines, so show similar, shop the look on the retail website. Historically, that was done by humans. Now it can be done by visual AI. And it means that you can do this at scale, and you can do it with much more consistency than you could do previously. And our vision really is that we're beginning to be able to send several millions of high-quality users to our retail partners on a daily basis, because all of these images are shoppable, and all the shopping experience takes place back with the retailer. And our vision, therefore, is to create a smooth and cohesive shopping experience for consumers that actually builds business for our retailers as well. We know that consumers often look for cheaper alternatives for things that they see on designers. And clearly, when we're showing similar, that's a really easy thing to do to help the consumer find the look they want.